Well, good afternoon, everyone. It's great to be back at ROMA, and I would like to start my remarks by thanking ROMA Chair Krista Lowry and the entire ROMA board for their interest in and their support of our efforts at the Ministry of Rural Affairs. I also applaud how well ROMA works with AMO. Your leadership is second to none. Congratulations. And ladies and gentlemen, trust. As rural municipalities, your rural voices are heard, and I appreciate how ROMA advocates on your behalf. And you can also trust that I will always be standing with you, listening and working to realize strong relationships and good policy that generates relevant programs and action. And I can tell you, when I say that, I'm speaking on behalf of Premier Ford and our entire government. Now, one short year ago, I stood on this stage and launched, for the very first time, a provincial strategy for rural Ontario. And after a year's worth of extensive consultations with you and rural leaders across the province, we created Enabling Opportunity, Ontario's Rural Economic Development Strategy. This strategy was created by rural Ontario for rural Ontario. And it will take rural Ontario to the very next level with three key pillars in mind: creating safe and strong rural communities, growing and expanding a dynamic rural workforce, and supporting business development and attraction. These pillars provide a clear focus for the Ministry of Rural Affairs, all of our efforts, and we also are the proverbial rural lens to our government's commitment to protect Ontario. This whole-of-government approach recognizes that collaboration across ministries and between government and its rural municipal partners is essential for economic growth and prosperity across the province. Since the launch of Enabling Opportunity, we have made incredible strides toward our common goal of ensuring small towns and rural communities can thrive. In June, I was proud to stand alongside ROMA Chair Krista Lowry and rural leaders in Clinton, Ontario, to launch the newly expanded and modernized Rural Ontario Development Program, known as ROD. At that time, we turned the page on the program's predecessor, the Rural Economic Development Program, known as RED, and most importantly, we increased the funding envelope to $20 million. This is double what was previously allocated. And through rural economic development projects, it's been proven that for every dollar invested into our communities, into our municipalities, there is a return 4 to 1. I'm going to repeat that. For every dollar invested in rural Ontario, there is a 4 to 1 return on investment. And I would like to now share an example of what the right investment can do to generate a thriving community. And this is just one example, which I hope is inspiration to you. The Uxbridge Downtown Revitalization Project received $100,000 from our funding program. And it's a perfect example of how collaboration can make a difference. As a result of the previous RED investment, an additional $1.5 million worth of investments were added to the initiative by local businesses and the community. Now that's partnership. And I am told the community ultimately increased the number of people employed in their downtown core by more than 60 people. In small town Ontario, that's a lot of people. That's a lot of jobs. Truly, this shows that good things can come from investments in rural Ontario, and it's rural economic development at its best. This year, the response to the modernized Rural Ontario Development Program has been incredible. When the first intake window closed on September 24th, the ministry received more applications from businesses and community organizations than we had anticipated. It was a tremendous response. And I have to tip my hat to the Rural Affairs field team because they were out there working with all of you and your local leaders and communities They delivered English and French webinars and an impressive 235 one-on-one coaching sessions for people interested in applying for the new funding program. And as we speak, successful applicants are hearing about that first opportunity to hit the ground running, and it's such a great way to start off the new year. And of course, there's going to be more good news coming as well. But at this time, I'd like to acknowledge and thank Parliamentary Assistants for Rural Affairs, Bob Bailey, MPP for Sarnia-Lambton, and Steve Pinzano, MPP for Lambton-Kent Middlesex, for their incredible commitment to rural Ontario. That's right, I like that. Thank you. Collectively as a team, we have crisscrossed the province over the past year. I started my tour of Ontario in 2025, heading to Sudbury on January 6th, and we did not stop. We as a team, toured every corner of this province, from Red Lake to Niagara-on-the-Lake, and from Eastern Ontario through to Southwestern Ontario. We attended municipal conferences, events, important rural meetings, including tours with local businesses and rural leaders, all the while meeting regularly with stakeholders at Queen's Park. In the spirit of an all-of-government approach, Ministry of Rural Affairs is also dedicated to fostering good partnerships with our fellow ministries so we can enable opportunity and continue to experience valued investment and growth in our small towns and our communities. For instance, I was proud to partner with the Minister of Finance, and we hosted an announcement in Goderich, Ontario, to share that our government was increasing the Ontario Municipal Partnership Fund by $50 million, bringing the total UMP funding for 2026 to $600 million. That represents a $100 million increase just over the past 2 years alone. And of course, it goes without saying that the Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing and the Ministry of Infrastructure have been tremendous in their support with their funding programs, as have all the ministries. And the good news is we have more to do together as we continue to invest in and celebrate rural Ontario. There's an incredible team at the Ministry of Rural Affairs, and we will continue to give our collective all in 2026. Starting with the fact that as of today, I am pleased to announce the second intake for the Rural Ontario Development Program is officially open for new applications. And don't forget, we have an amazing team in the field that's prepared to assist you. So please take a moment and visit our field team at our booth in the trade show, or you could check out our website for more details. And I'm also very proud to share with you that immediately following my remarks, I'm going to partner with ROMA Chair Krista Lowry, as well as Parliamentary Assistants Bob Bailey and Steve Pinzano, to introduce the first ever recognition program showing amazing people, businesses, municipalities, and organizations who have proven to be true inspiration. They're all sitting in the front rows here. I'm so excited that you're here. In 2026, we'll also be holding rural summits across the province. In fact, during some of my deputations earlier today, it was like, oh, a municipality, you would be a great host for a rural summit based on the discussion that we had during our deputation. But trust, we're going to be traveling across the province with these summits because the realities in Niagara are not the same as the realities in Red Lake. And these summits will help shape a path forward throughout small town and rural Ontario as well. And I'd also like to thank Billy Deneau, MPP for Renfrew, Nipissing, Pembroke, for bringing forward a thoughtful private members' motion that proposes to celebrate rural Ontario. Billy has received tremendous stakeholder response for his private members' motion, including ROMA and AMO. And if his private member motion should pass later this year, we will all join together to celebrate rural Ontario during the third full week in September, which, if you think about it, it just happens to coincide with the International Flying Match and Rural Expo. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to see how that Rural Expo is going to be celebrating rural Ontario, On behalf of Bruce County, I invite you all to attend the IPM and Real Expo September 22nd to 26th. Yeah, exactly. But for now, don't go anywhere. We're about to launch the first ever Rural Ontario Inspiration Recognition Program. The recipients today have traveled to join us this afternoon from all across Ontario, and trust me, you don't want to miss it. My final comment is this. As Ontario's Minister of Rural Affairs, my goal is to continue to collaborate and enable small-town rural Ontario to be the best place to live, work, raise a family, and call home. I look forward to working with each and every one of you to enable opportunity in your communities in 2026. Thank you very much.
Please welcome to the stage ROMA Chair, Krista Lowry.
Well, good afternoon. The Rural Ontario Municipal Association is so proud